It's a winter day and I am out here by my green stalk that doesn't seem to have any life in it right now, but it kind of goes along with our book today, which is Logan's Greenhouse. And this book was written by JaNay Brown-Wood. It's actually a series. It's a 4-book series. And this is the 3rd book in the series. And this one is winter themed, appropriately for today. And in this story, Logan is headed to his greenhouse and he's looking for carrots. And it's our job to help him find the carrots. And in the process, we learn about all sorts of things, mainly root crop vegetables and some citrus that can be grown in greenhouses in the wintertime. Kind of wish I had a greenhouse this time of year. And in the back of each of these books in this series, there's a recipe. And the recipe in this book is winter carrot soup. So today we are going to make some winter carrot soup. So let's head into the kitchen. We have our cast of characters ready to go. In addition, we're going to need some chicken broth, some water, some heavy whipping cream, and some salt. So I'm going to get these vegetables cleaned up. We're going to do a little chopping and put it in the pan. Okay, so we're going to get chopping. I have all my vegetables peeled and prepped, and so they are ready to just be cut into small chunks. This is a great thing to have the kids help you with, whether you're using regular knives or kid-safe knives. Cutting through the carrots isn't too difficult of a task. The adult might want to do the sweet potato. So let's get chopping. So the recipe says just to slice these into discs. It's not really going to matter other than you want small pieces because you'd like it to kind of all cook at the same rate. But we're going to blend this up with an immersion blender, or if you don't have an immersion blender, you can put it into a regular blender. You just want to be careful if you put it in a regular blender to vent the top so that you don't have any explosions. So make sure your top is vented and don't put too much. Usually you want to only fill your blender about halfway if you're blending something hot. I really like to use an immersion blender, so if you have one, you can. These little ends are going to go into a bag that I keep in my freezer. I put all my carrot scraps, onions, and celery scraps in a bag and keep them in the freezer until I'm ready to make broth. So I like to make my own homemade chicken broth or turkey broth. And I haven't done beef broth yet, but I am planning on doing that very soon for the first time. So we're going to do the same thing to the onion. So once again, I'm having this recipe because I've actually never had carrot soup before. So I'm not sure how we're going to like it. So as I said in my last video, sometimes if I'm not sure about the recipe, instead of making a full batch, I'll do kind of a trial run of a half batch. A little scrap that's going to go inside my bag. With the garlic, I'm just going to kind of roughly chop those garlic, because the same thing, it's going to end up in the immersion blender. So not a big deal. I'm actually going to grab my bench scraper to make this a little bit quicker and into the pan. So the last thing we have to chop here is our sweet potato. And then, which is not an easy thing to cut, not a vegetable you're going to want to give young children to cut. This is one you're going to want to prep yourself if the kids are cooking with you in the kitchen. So once we get these vegetables into the pot, we're going to add our spices, which are salt, rosemary, and basil. And then we are going to cover it with chicken broth, or in my case today, I'm going to use turkey broth because I'm out of chicken broth. I need to make some more. I have some chicken bones in my freezer and 2 bags of frozen veggies. So I am definitely ready to make some chicken broth. So we're gonna add some chicken broth and water into that, and we're going to get it cooking for about an hour. Here's my frozen scrap bag. When things are kind of starting to go bad, or when I have these little scraps, I just put them inside of a plastic bag in my freezer, and then when I'm ready to make broth with chicken bones, I can just add this right into the pot with it for flavor. While I'm waiting for my chicken broth to defrost, let me take you down to my grow lab and show you the microgreens that I have growing. So let's go check out my microgreens down in my little grow lab in the basement. It's amazing how quickly these are growing. On this half, I have microgreens that are only about 4 days old. And then on this half, I'm trying out cilantro, which has not germinated yet. But I'm super excited to be growing something green in January. So also while I'm in the basement, my book situation is a complete and utter mess right now. As you can see, we are having some basement renovation, and so all my books are every which where, but I wanted to show you, here is another book by JaNay Brown-Wood. This was the first book that started this 4-book series. This one is Amara's Farm. This one has probably been my favorite one so far. So we're going to turn this on to a medium low, and we're going to add in our chicken broth. And in my case, this is going to be turkey broth, and we just want it to cover. If it doesn't quite cover, we're going to add a little water. So I'm going to get a little water to add here. And then the leftover turkey broth, because I had kind of a big container of it, I am going to save. And for dinner tonight, we are having beef with broccoli and some rice. So I will use this broth, this leftover broth, to cook our rice in. All right, so this is covered. We are gonna let this simmer for about an hour until everything is tender, and then we're gonna come back with an immersion blender and blend it all up. So I'll see you in a few minutes. All right, we're ready to use our immersion blender, and we're gonna blend this up. And then once we get it all nice and smooth, we're gonna add a little cream and test for seasonings. And then I think I'm gonna serve this up and have some nice warm soup on a winter day with some homemade egg salad that I made yesterday and some homemade rolls. Yes, this is so good. I just took a little taste test. Definitely could have made a whole recipe. It is full of flavor and full of nutrition, and I cannot wait to dish myself some. So I'm ready to sit down and enjoy my winter carrot soup from Logan's greenhouse and some homemade egg salad on a homemade roll. What a perfect lunch. So as I sit down for my winter carrot soup and my sandwich, I wanted to tell you that the 4 books that are in this series are all kind of set up the same. And there's going to be one after March when the 4th book comes out. There will be one that follows for each season. So there's Amara's Garden, which is a fall one where she's looking for pumpkins, and then there's a recipe for pumpkin bread. Then there is the Miguel's Community Garden, which is a summer-themed one, and there's a recipe for sunflower seed salad. And then there's the one that we did today, which is Logan's Greenhouse, and that is a winter-themed one, and he's searching for carrots in that one, and the recipe is winter carrot soup, which is very good. And then the spring one that is coming out is going to be focused on looking for blueberries. And the recipe in that one is going to be for blueberry banana pancakes. So I think we might have to try that one together too. So highly recommend this series for preschoolers on up. It is a great way to look for noticing details and learning about different fruits and vegetables that grow in a variety of different types of gardens, whether it's an outside garden in a greenhouse or in the case of the new book coming out on a rooftop garden. So I look forward to reading and cooking with you again in the near future in our cooking book by book series.